one of her latest singles, Tucson. It is Gabrielle Pietrangelo in this week's third set triple play feature. Before that, we kicked it off with Way to Fly from her On My Way Back Home album released back in 2020. We have Gabrielle Pietrangelo on the phone. Gabby, how's it going this evening?
It's going good. It's been really beautiful in Tucson.
It really has. It's been wild with this type of weather here. You know, I leave the house with a hoodie on and I come home with, I have to rip the sleeves off and by the time I get home. And so it's been pretty wild, but we enjoy it because it's like, it gives us seasons in a state that never really sees any kind of shift in weather. So we've really been enjoying it ourselves. Well, Gabby, last time we talked was back in June of 2023. Last time we chatted, you were really big on your Blue Skies Trio project and things like that. We thought it would be fun to kind of start off our conversation today with catching everybody up on what you've been up to. You've been real busy over the last 6 months, so catch us up. What have you been up to?
Yeah, well, I've been playing with Blue Skies Trio and my solo project that I've been working on this album for the last 3 years. So these last 6 months has been kind of the wrap up of the final mixes and the mastering, and so I've been just really busy like pulling this whole album together. And it's done, it's completed, and I'm starting to release singles to kind of like lead up to the album release, which will still be a ways off because I'm just going to take my time.
And that's, what, when you're ready, you are ready. So, well, that's really cool to know that that's what you've been working on. I think you told us that you were working on some solo stuff when we spoke with you last. So then let's talk a little bit about your recent project. And along the way, I'd like to kind of pick at your brain a bit and talk to you a bit about how it is that you do your writing process and things like that, because it's one thing to compose a song and then it's another thing to write the lyrics. You're doing both of those things. So what's it like, Gabrielle, when you get into a studio, or do you craft a lot of this stuff leading up to getting into the studio? What does your song making process look like?
Yeah. Well, how it works is I write it, wherever, at home, if I'm traveling, or whenever a song comes through. And then what I've learned is to try to finish it within like 2 days, because there's this beautiful kind of like honeymoon energy or something when a song comes down where it's like a song high. And so what I try to do is do a scratch recording. And if I can, I do a professional foundation track of a live take of it, like even within the first 3 days of writing it. That's what I've learned to do.
I love that. You're the first to share that type of process with us here on the show, as a matter of fact. And I like the idea of, capturing the idea when it's hot like that. I think that's really cool.
And when I do the scratch recordings, I typically like scratch out like the other things I want to add if there's going to be, overdubs or whatever. Like I think through the arrangement, but sometimes that shifts in the studio, But yeah, I just get the idea out, and then I try to get a really good live take, of the song. I've been wanting to talk about that actually, the click track versus live take thing.
You bet.
Yeah. So this whole album has no click track, on it.
Okay.
It was all live takes, which I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
It was either a live take that I did singing and playing my guitar at the same time, or it was also like my bass player and my drummer in the studio, all of us doing a live take, and that would be the foundation track. So yeah, that's kind of how this album went down.
So give our listeners a little bit of idea. What is the difference between a click track and then a live cut?
Yeah, so a click track would be like if you were going to do a full-on, band song with bass drums. Typically, you'd lay down the drums and the bass, and then you'd add the guitars and then the vocalist, or it would be like this layered thing, and there'd be like a metronome in someone's headphones who when they're putting down the track,
Yeah.
But a live take is just where you feel it, you just play it and sing it. And a lot of people don't sing and play at the same time in a live take. And the reasoning being, if you ever want an instrumental track, it's really hard to separate the voice out of the, guitar track if you did it live. So half the album I did on an electric guitar, which was isolated in another room. So I have instrumental tracks for those songs, but some of them I'd have to, you know what I mean? Like I can't separate the voice from the guitar because it was just a live organic take of, the feel of everybody, if it was just me or bass player and drummer, it was like we all felt it together,
Very
without
fun.
a metronome.
Very fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you put together your scratch tracks at the house and things like that. How many, or have you been, since you've been working on this the past 3 years, how does that translate into studio time and things like that? Have you been piecemealing your studio time so you get your scratch tracks put together? Do you get a collection of songs before you go to the studio, or are you doing one song at a time, or how is it that you go about scheduling all that?
Yeah, well, we did it in chunks of 3 with Jim Waters at Waterworks. I think that's how it went down. It started, Tucson was by itself. That happened a few summers ago where I went down and made the foundation track for that. But then we did like chunks of 3 with the guys, with the bass player and the drummer. And then there's a couple songs that I went in alone. So it just was kind of patchwork. I did a lot of the overdubs at home because I have a really nice recording setup at home, and I'm actually almost to the point where I'll be able to do my own foundation tracks because I just did a trade with Cloud Microphone and another company, and I'm starting to gather the right equipment that I need to do my own professional, like high quality recording at home. I'm pretty good. I have a nice setup though, so I used it for overdubs at home to save money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to reach a point where you'll just have to send it off to be mixed down at the end. But in the time being, is Waterworks Studio your preferred studio here in town?
Yes. I mean, there's great studios in town, and one of the tracks was recorded at St. Cecilia's with Stephen Lee Tracy, and he's great. But I really love, I feel like Jim really creates a space that's optimal for a live take to be captured. And I feel really at ease there. And since that's my technique, like I don't want to do a produced, everything built on a metronome type of sound,
Yeah.
So he's really great for that organic feel. And I love working with him, and I highly recommend him.
Awesome. Yeah, we love Jim Waters here at the show. We have tons of artists that, absolutely adore that studio, and so we adore that studio as well. Well, thank you for sharing some of that insight to the album. One more question so far about it. What are some of your, because, an album is typically a good collection of songs, and songs are, an expression of your ideas and things like that. Do you have any really songs that really stand out to you on this album that, when it comes out, you really hope that people get to hear this particular one?
Yeah. Well, I think the title track, that's such a cool question. I think the title track, which is Back to the Heart, and that's the theme of the album. And I had a really great pedal steel player from Nashville, Paul Niehaus, played on that, and Nick Coventry put a really nice 3-part string part on it. And it's just a really beautiful song about just the gray area of like growing up and kind of realizing you're never really all right or all wrong. Like it's something in the middle. And it sort of has the theme of, coming back to like your heart, coming back to that place of humility of like, oh yeah, this is who I am, and this is what I have to offer, and this is where I connect with people. And a really big theme in that is like I drew on the desert because I grew up in Tucson, but I never really wrote about the desert directly. in all these years that I've been in bands and stuff. But this album has like half of the songs are inspired or set, like the stories are told in different parts of this region. So that's kind of cool. So it sort of feels like back to the heart, both like in the land here of like realizing this is where I'm from, and also in my own, journey as a songwriter. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it
I
does.
hope people hear that.
And I'm
I'm making a really, really beautiful music video for that song, and that'll be a little ways off because it's going to take some time. The director has really cool ideas, and it's not going to happen quickly, but yeah.
That is super exciting, and I can't wait for us to get our hands on the full length. I would love to play that track on the air over here as well and share it with as many people as we possibly can. Well, very cool, Gabrielle. Let me ask you, and this isn't something that we typically talk about on this show, but at the same time, I was watching it all unfold, and we're big fans of Jessica Gonzalez and things like that, so we thought it'd be cool to talk to you a little bit about the promo that got kind of put behind this, because it seemed to me a little bit larger than life, which was really awesome to see. So tell us how all that comes about. I mean, Jessica Gonzalez, phenomenal artist, but dude, to have a mural done, how cool is that? So how did that all come about, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. Oh, I love this question. So I just had this feeling, because there's this growing mural explosion in Tucson, and I'm not a visual artist, but I could feel it, and I was like, it'd be so cool to have my album cover be a mural. I didn't realize that it was going to end up in the music video. That was someone else's idea, which was brilliant. My friend Charlie Levy and his partner Brooklyn Nissenbaum, who was the director, they were watching me at the Folk Fest last year, and they were like, oh my God, because they knew my idea about the mural. And I didn't want it to be too cliche, like Tucson. I didn't want the video to be like, we're out in the Soros, and like I wanted it to be something like different. And so we'd been brainstorming, and anyway, they saw me, and there was this mural behind me at the Folk Fest, and they were like, Brooklyn had the idea of doing the time lapse with me singing in real time next to Jessica, creating the mural. And that was her idea. And then Charlie was like, you should get a local business to host it, because then it will be like free advertising, and it'll sink into the community. So really, I was just lucky enough to have good friends that were like, I knew I wanted a mural, but I had no idea it was going to end up being as cool as it ended up being, And Jessica is so talented and so easy to work with. I highly recommend collaborations with her. She was wonderful. And her partner, Dakin, I always say his name wrong. Yes. Yeah. So then when the Rialto, which is like the hub of music in Tucson, was like, Kathy Rivers gave the green light, like, yeah, we'll host it on the back wall. And I was just like, oh my God, this is like coming together like a dream. And yeah, so I'll be sharing that mural for years to come.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
And what a cool community connection with all of that. All those names that we're dropping here: Jessica Gonzalez, Kathy River. These are all really cool people that are supporting and also participants in this cool community that we have going on here in Tucson.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah, so that's so cool.
Including the guys from Calexico, who played on that track, John Convertino and Jacob Valenzuela really added that beautiful Tucson vibe. And I'm so grateful. That was they did that. And I just feel really lucky to have them on that track.
Gabrielle, that doesn't come cheap, having those guys on a record.
Yeah, lucky me.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. Well, we are super excited that you came by the show to talk to us about all of this, because again, it to me, gives a well-rounded look at the project as well. And so with that being said, you've got the album, you've got some cool promo going on. There's a sweet video coming out later on. When and where can our listeners catch you playing out live in support of all these efforts coming down in the future?
Yeah, so I'm releasing a really amazing video that was directed by my best friend's son. It guest stars my best friend and goddaughter, and we did it out at Gates Pass. It's a really fun, upbeat love song that Tom Walbank played harmonica on, and it's being released March 12th at Club Congress, and we're going to do a live show, and then we're going to debut, the first viewing of the video, and then the video will release like 5 days later, So I'd love it if people came down March 12th to Club Congress. Yeah, and that's like the next big thing is like that video is coming out. It's the third single.
We all need to be there. And then with that being said, Gabrielle, where is it that you're being really active on social media and things like that, so that if people do want to keep track of your upcoming shows and everything else, what social media should we be following you on?
I'm really up to date on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome.
And I do have a really good monthly newsletter. If you want to get on my mailing list, you can find that link in my bio. There's like a subscribe to Gabrielle's mailing list. You can also just Google search like Gabrielle Tucson Music and my website will come up. But yeah, I'm really keeping everyone up to date, and it's taken me a long time to release the album, but it's just been a lot. Like I'm really putting a lot of thought into each step along the way. So I really look forward to sharing the whole thing. It'll be a little bit more down the road. So.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting, and Hope and I can't wait to get out to see you live here real soon in support of all this as well. Well, once again, Gabrielle, thank you so much for stopping by the show. Before we let you go, though, I thought it'd be fun to have you set up on this. We just had Valentine's Day yesterday, so you've got this new track, Valentine's Day. So help us set it up.
Yeah.
What is this track all about?
Yeah, well, it's about like when, I guess it's the idea that it's a little bit about the transitory nature of love. And how, there's just no guarantees, but that you just sort of have to take that risk, and also just the idea that, you got to learn how to ride the waves, like where when things change, or things open up. And I think it has a good feel of just like kind of the bittersweet feeling of like impermanence, but also like an optimistic, like, appreciation for love. So I don't know if that's too out there, but that's kind of what it's about. And to quote it says, it's just another day on Valentine's Day. It's like every day is Valentine's Day,
There you go. That's the sentiment around our house for sure. Well, Gabrielle, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure when you stop by the show.
Aw, thank you for having me, Bo.
Let's go ahead and close out this third set triple play feature with Valentine's Day from Gabrielle Pietrangelo on this week's third set triple play feature.